Japan will be in 2025, usher in a devastating earthquake and tsunami. It could be the end of Japan. This sounds like a movie plot. But many who call themselves prophets all point to the same year. Same place, one has to wonder. Will such a disaster really happen in 2025? How did the Japanese respond to this? So let's start with this. Let's see what the sources of prophecy are. In unison, warning of Japan's catastrophe in 2025. Surprisingly, prophets and mysterious figures from diverse backgrounds, they all set their sights on 2025. It seems that this year is destined to be extraordinary. Mention the prediction of the 2025 Japan earthquake. It is impossible not to introduce a biographer. Odd Japanese cartoonist. Don't worry about the number of dragons, he draws cartoons. He is known by fans as the Jade Dream cartoonist, because his work was accurate, predicted many major events. As early as July 1999, Dragon Quantity publishes a non-serialized comic. The name is The Future I See. This comic, it contains 15 of his bizarre precognitive dreams. One of the creepiest is, the comic book cover actually says, The Great Disaster of March 2011. That's right, it happened in March 2011. It is the 3/11 Great East Japan earthquake. 12 years before the incident, he drew the date through a dream. God's prediction. So afterwards, it became quite a sensation in Japan. Even earlier, he also served on January 2nd, 1995, dreaming of a major earthquake. The result was just 15 days later. The Panshin earthquake happened in reality. Coincidences. One has to admire his hit rate in dreams. The number of dragons that are now 70 years old, back in the spotlight, because of his manga. In The Dream of Painting and Subsequent Records, directly pointed out July 2025, there will be a devastating earthquake. The scene of this precognitive dream, it's as spectacular and terrifying as an apocalyptic movie. Let's recreate the dream scene he described. It was a hot summer day. He noticed that in his dreams, people were wearing short sleeves. So the judgment is summer, around the early morning or dusk of July 5th. He dreamt of similar scenes twice at different times. According to the watch time in the dream, his mother was off work, and later clues such as the funeral date. It is speculated that it may be around 4:18 or 5 o'clock on July 5th. Suddenly, the sky falls apart in a dream. A major earthquake took place in Japan, the triangle formed by Taiwan and the Philippines, the center of the ocean, with a violent underwater explosion. The sea began to churn wildly, and he looked up. I see the Eastern Pacific. 2 dragon-like clouds appeared, howling towards the epicenter of the earthquake. And then something even stranger happened. Earthquake-induced energy let a new continent rise from the sea. This newborn land is huge. It's like a bridge to Taiwan. The Philippines and Hong Kong are connected. However, the birth of the new world was just the beginning of the nightmare. Terrible geological changes ensued. Huge cracks appeared in the seafloor. Hot lava gushed out of the cracks. Boil the seawater. The next second, the water is splitting in all directions. Formed a giant tsunami up to 100 meters high. Huge waves are devastating. Pounce on surrounding countries and regions. Japan bears the brunt. Coastal areas were instantly engulfed. After the Great Wave, 1/3 of Japan was submerged in the sea. Disappear. Surrounding Taiwan, the Philippines, Hong Kong, and other places have also been hit hard. The entire Asia-Pacific region, caught in a doomsday scene of water and fire. The number of dragons in the dream witnessed the catastrophe. I even saw the fate of my own loved ones. He dreamed of himself. Neither my mother nor my sister survived the tsunami. Unfortunate and disaster. His funeral will be held on July 15th. You might get goosebumps hearing that. This is simply the plot of a real-life disaster blockbuster. What new continent rose from the sea? The 100-meter tsunami swallowed the country. It's too exaggerated and shocking. If it weren't for the number of dragons, past precognitive dreams have come true many times. Anyone would think it's just a wild daydream. But here's the thing. In his previous 15 precognitive dreams, there have been 10 fulfillments. There are still 5 outstanding. The 2025 earthquake is one of them. So it's no wonder that many people are both frightened and concerned. What if he gets it right again this time? After all, a man who accurately predicted the 311 earthquake. Now I'm telling you seriously, an even greater disaster will befall us in the summer of 2025. How can that not be shocking? Except for cartoonists. Predicting the great catastrophe of Japan, 2025. There is even a mysterious online friend. He claims to be from the future. They call him the future of 2062. This sounds very secondary, but his legendary deeds, widely circulated on the Japanese internet as early as November 2010. An anonymous ID suddenly appeared in Japan's largest controversy. Altar. Claiming to be a future man who traveled back from 2062. At first people thought he was joking or funny. But this future man kept throwing people. Jaw-dropping information. End of 2010. He left a message to hide in the mountains. The results were a few months later in March 2011. Devastating events took place in Japan. Great East Japan earthquake. And tsunamis? Is he suggesting to stay away from the coast? Escape from heights. Then someone dug it out. He really did anticipate the 311 tsunami. That's not the end. In July 2011, he came out again and said, something big will happen in April 2016. The results arrived in April 2016. There really was a strong earthquake in Kumamoto, Japan. I think so. He even pinpointed, I will be on April 10, 2016. Come back in 5 days. Results Kumamoto earthquake man. It happened late at night on April 14th. Approaching April 15th. Just amazing. Then he said I'd show up again on May 17th. I didn't expect May 16th. Another strong earthquake struck Sitchin County. This string of coincidences let many netizens start to believe it with a grain of salt. Maybe this guy really has 2 brushes. As fame grows, online users began to ask various questions to future generations in 2062. I want to get more future information. His answer is often cloudy, but also revealed some amazing so-called future events. One of the most concerning to the Japanese? It's a prediction about 2025. When asked about future events, 2062 mysterious representation of future people. In 2025, a major event will take place that will affect the world. Japan will also be affected. Although he did not specify what the incident was, but combined with his previous predictions of earthquakes and tsunamis, many people speculate about this major event in 2025. Possibly refers to a super earthquake or something like that. Other predictions about this future man, and some of them sound pretty outrageous. For example, he has hinted that in 2062 he will come. Some of today's great powers no longer exist. Japan actually expanded and so on. I'm not going to go into detail here because it's so off topic. Anyway, in 2062, future humans will be hit by several disasters. Many people were skeptical of his warnings. If his timeline is correct, the story of a major disaster in Japan in 2025, another seemingly reliable supporter. Although reason tells us, internet predictions will be discounted, but when different sources all point to similar years and events, it's hard not to get creepy, except for personal dreams and future travelers. Japan also has some specialized research. The author of precognitive dream phenomena and so-called futurists, in their investigations and writings, also mentioned at the same time the possibility of a major earthquake in 2025. In recent years, several books have been published in Japan. The best-selling book exploring the dream of desire. The authors have collected many Japanese public claims, dreaming of future events. When they were analyzing these dreams, discover an interesting and disturbing trend. Quite a few dreams. It points to a huge earthquake in the mid-2020s, especially concentrated around 2025. Imagine that, when people don't know each other in different regions, have seen similar disaster scenes in their dreams. And the time points to the same year. This coincidence of the collective unconscious. Isn't it penetrating? Some researchers speculate that humans may have a latent premonition ability on the eve of catastrophe, in the form of dreams, although scientifically unproven, the reality of real predictive dreams. But the stories quoted in these books, it's a little skeptical. I'd rather believe it. Of course, some people doubt. It's because after famous predictions such as the number of dragons spread, people have psychological cues, so more people dream of disasters in 2025. It's a collective trend. Whatever the reason, at least in Japanese prophecy circles, 2025 equals a major earthquake has become a hot topic. In the internet age, information is fermented, and these prophecies soon spread around the world. Subsection so far. We see from cartoonists, mysterious netizens, writers, researchers, and many other sources of information. All point to Japan in 2025, there will be an unprecedented catastrophe, especially super earthquakes and tsunamis. The prophecy goes from simple earthquakes and tsunamis until the rise of the New World. Homeland sinking, this doomsday level is getting more and more outrageous. It gets really scary. So here's the problem. Is it possible that these dire predictions could be true? Or is it just a coincidence rumor? So let's look at the science. The possibility of Japan's future matrix. How tall is it? We talked about so many prophecies. We should also step on the brakes. Look at it rationally. Real-world data and research. After all, no matter how real the predictive dream is, it's not as reliable as scientific statistics. Right? So scientifically speaking, Japan in the coming years, is the risk of a mega earthquake high? And the answer is actually quite high. Even putting aside all the mysterious words, we also have to take this risk seriously. So let's start with this. Geologists and earthquake experts have long warned there is a Nanhai Sea in Japan, the threat of a super earthquake. South China Sea Trough. It is located on the southwest coast of Japan. Large submarine fault zone. History: there have been many major earthquakes of magnitude 8 or higher. According to the report of the Japanese government's Earthquake Investigation Committee, in the next 30 years, the current scale in the South China Sea Trough, the probability of a magnitude 9 earthquake, up to 70% attention. 70% is not a small probability. It's like watching Japanese news in our lifetime, likely to encounter this. And this prediction is not made out of my head, but based on past earthquake cycles. and the current degree of plate stress accumulation, calculated result. The last major earthquake like this happened in the 1940s. Japan was in 1944, and the Dongnanhai earthquake in 1946, and Nanhai earthquake, almost 80 years now. Although 80 years is not a long time for geology, but according to the historical cycle, approximately every 100 to 150 years, there will be a super earthquake. Before the middle of the 21st century, another major earthquake in Japan is not surprising. Many experts even believe that may not wait until 2050. A major earthquake in the South China Sea Trough will detonate the year 2025. In fact, it just happened to fall within this high-risk period. And look at the context of plate activity across the planet. The location of Japan. It used to be the Pacific Rim earthquake zone, also known as part of the volcanic belt. And there are lots of plates, frequent geological activity. The Pacific Rim has witnessed a series of major disasters. In 2010, a devastating earthquake and tsunami devastated Chile. 2011, Japan, 3/11 earthquake. 2018, Sunda Strait tsunami in Indonesia. 2021, Alaska offshore earthquake. Even early 2022, in the Pacific island country of Tangier, a large-scale, rarely seen in history, undersea volcanic eruption, triggering global shockwaves and tsunamis. These events have attracted scientists' attention. The Pacific Rim has recently been in a period of activity. Some geologists believe that huge seismic activity, sometimes it happens in clusters, after intense movement of a plate, maybe within a few years, triggering a redistribution of pressure along distant plate edges, causing other seismically active zones to enter a critical state. Simply put, that is, big earthquakes may come one after another. After the 3/11 earthquake in Japan, global patterns of seismic activity appear to have changed. Scientists are constantly monitoring pressure variation of peripheral fault. The conclusion is, in the coming years and even decades, occurs similar to level 3/11. The possibility of a stronger earthquake is definitely there. Japan in particular needs to be more vigilant. In addition to long-term risks, the scientific community is also experimenting with new techniques to predict. For example, some Japanese research teams are observing animal behavior, electromagnetic changes in the groundwater level, and even the atmosphere, looking for clues before the earthquake. Although so far, there is no reliable short-term forecasting method yet, but the researchers did not give up. Beginning in the 2020s, Japan's earthquake early warning system has also been improved. If there is a strong earthquake, a few seconds to 10 seconds before the seismic wave propagates, remind people to take shelter. This reduces casualties to some extent. But if there is a scale 9 magnitude earthquake and tsunami, the early warning system can only try to buy time. The devastation of the disaster cannot be completely avoided. It is worth mentioning that Japanese officials have actually done the worst long ago. Situational deduction. If the entire section of the South China Sea Trough breaks, a giant tsunami occurs. Earthquake. The Pacific coast will be hard hit. The government forecasts a worst-case scenario. The death toll could exceed 300,000. Economic losses are difficult to estimate. Does it sound just like those prophecies? Hundreds of thousands died. The description of the disappearance of coastal areas coincides. The science in action is pretty scary. Therefore, even if we are completely oblivious to precognitive dreams, future human light is based on the research of geological experts. We also have good reason to believe Japan does face a significant earthquake risk, and around 2025 is a critical period. Having said that, we can breathe a sigh of relief, at least those crazy-sounding prophecies. It's not completely groundless. Some parts of it actually match scientific predictions. Of course, the number of dragons dreams of a new continent by Tsunami. Japan thinks 1 or 3 of these plots are too exaggerated. Scientifically, the odds are close to 0. The crust will bulge in an instant, new land linking several countries, very unlikely. But he encountered the great earthquake and the tsunami itself. It could happen. It's just a matter of scale. If he only uses art, exaggerated depiction of disaster, the reality might not be so dramatic. But even the realistic version only 1/10 the severity of his dreams. It's an absolute disaster. Therefore, Li Xingru, a scientist, has to admit, Japan does have a tough war to fight in the future. Not against monsters. It is a confrontation with the relentless forces of nature. So let's hypothesize. If this forecast in 2025, the big earthquake really happened, no matter the size is like the number of dragons, Doomsday like in a dream. Or is it just scale? Super earthquake and tsunami around 9. What kind of impact will it have? Let's brainstorm. Also refer to past experience to imagine the possible consequences. A little black, but let's try to talk in a relaxed tone. After all, this is a hypothetical scenario. Hope never comes true. Casualties and property damage. This is without a doubt the first. 2011 3/11 earthquake and tsunami. Nearly 20,000 dead and missing. It has been Japan since World War II, the worst disaster. If there is a greater casualty in 2025, I'm afraid the number will rise by an order of magnitude. The prophecy of the number of dragons describes the death of hundreds of thousands of people. That's pretty shocking. This number is not entirely out of thin air. The Japanese government's own worst-case scenario, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of deaths. Think of the big cities along the coast. Tokyo, Yokohama, Nagoya, Osaka. Which one is not densely populated? So many buildings, even with advanced earthquake-resistant buildings and shelter systems. We actually encountered earthquakes and tsunamis that exceeded their design limits. The consequences will still be unimaginable. Once a tsunami breaks through the levee, low-lying areas can become instantaneous. Countless families, schools, and hospitals will be affected. The house collapsed. Fire infrastructure destruction. The amount of damage is probably calculated in hundreds of trillion yen. Let alone, if there is a part of Japan that is silent as mentioned in the dream, that involves land loss and immigration, more immeasurable. Millions of people will be homeless. Placing just the survivors is a huge challenge. The 311 earthquake is still fresh in everyone's memory, not just the earthquake and tsunami themselves. It also led to a nuclear power plant accident. Radiation leakage causes long-term effects. If an earthquake occurs in 2025, affect other nuclear power facilities. For example, the Hamaoka nuclear power plant in central Japan happens to be located near the predicted South Sea Trough Township. It has always been considered a high risk. Then we may see a new nuclear catastrophe. If a nuclear power plant goes out of control, the consequences will not only affect Japan, it could also affect the entire environment of East Asia. Radiation pollution of ocean air and soil make the affected areas uninhabitable and uncultivated for years. The number of dragons dreams of lava spewing from cracks in the sea floor, although a bit magical. But in reality, if an earthquake triggers an undersea volcanic eruption or other chemical leaks, it will also cause multiple blows to the environment. In short, major earthquakes are often accompanied by environmental disasters, from nuclear pollution to deteriorating water quality, far-reaching and unmanageable. Japan is the third largest economy in the world. Every move is related to the health of the global economy. If Japan is devastated, the global market will definitely fluctuate violently. The exchange rate of the yen in the short term, the stock market could plunge, vomiting blood that various insurance companies have to pay for. Many Japanese companies, from automotive electronics to semiconductor parts, their shutdown will disrupt the global supply chain. Imagine that. Insufficient supply of auto parts. Global automakers are forced to cut production and run out of electronic components. The price of your mobile phone and computer has increased. Even Nintendo Switch. Game consoles may be out of stock. This may be a relatively minor annoyance, but it's also heartbreaking for players. In addition, Japan is also a major investor in the world. After a major disaster, funds are bound to be withdrawn to domestic disaster relief. Trigger a chain reaction in international capital markets. It can be said that a super earthquake in Japan, not just natural disasters, it is also a global economic disaster. If disaster strikes, the international community will definitely lend a helping hand. The US military has bases in Japan, may assist in rescue at the first time. Linguo is like China. South Korea will also send rescue teams, although there are usually conflicts. But when disaster strikes, humanity comes first. If Taiwan and the Philippines are also affected, there will be a situation where multiple countries provide disaster relief at the same time. Countries need to coordinate their resources. This could be an opportunity to promote international cooperation. It could also lead to new conflicts due to resource shortages. For example, the refugee problem, marine rescue range, etc. In an extreme scenario, if Japan partially sank, it involves regroupment and migration. Some small islands may be lost from the map forever. And the dragon numbers dream of a new continent. If it really pops out, wow! The map needs to be redrawn. What about the debate over the ownership of the new land? I hope it doesn't come to this. Let's just mentally fill in the picture. But here's the thing, even without the new world, a 100-meter tsunami will also hit as far away as the Pacific Ocean, America on the other side, West Coast Canada, even Chile in South America. A wave may also be detected in Peru. This will be a test for all humanity. In addition to material damage caused by disasters, there is also invisible psychological trauma and social change. If such a big earthquake does occur in 2025, Japanese society will enter a long period of reconstruction. Survivors need to come out of the shadow of losing their loved ones. Rebuild your home. It requires great willfulness and courage. After 3/11, Japan has a popular language partner. Symbolizes the spirit of unity and reconstruction among people. If there is another disaster, the Japanese may be more united. Or maybe someone is in despair. The younger generation may be more anxious about the future. After all, my hometown is sinking. Everyone doubts whether tomorrow will be reliable. On the other hand, the world is witnessing this catastrophe directly. Broadcasting will also greatly enhance the awareness of disaster prevention. Other countries in the earthquake zone, for example Taiwan or California, etc., there will be greater emphasis on earthquake drills and building safety. After all, the precedent, Hades is not far. And here's the interesting thing. The cartoon of the number of dragons is called The Future I See. If his future comes true, then we have precognitive dreams, the perception of supernatural abilities. I'm afraid that will change as well. Maybe it will trigger a sixth sense, consciousness, a new wave of research into connectivity and other phenomena. Anyway, if the prophecy comes true, the consequences will be comprehensive. From individual to national to global. Will be profoundly changed. Certainly, we all pray in our hearts that this will never happen. It's good to talk about it after dinner. But the prophecy has been cast. Let's imagine the worst-case scenario. Instead, it can make everyone aware of the prevention, the importance of suffering, Be prepared for danger in times of peace, because the consequences are unimaginable. So get ready now. Improve disaster prevention capabilities, even if God is really upset. Come shock us. We can also minimize damage. Said so many heavy things. Everyone's mood may be a little nervous. Suppressed, don't worry. Let's look at this from a different angle. For these overwhelming doomsday predictions, how did the Japanese themselves react? They are in a panic. Or are you stocking up on the streets to prepare for shelter? The answer may surprise you. It's kind of ironic, even. If a prophecy says your city is about to sink, what would you do? Most people would be scared. Hurry up and get ready, like an emergency escape kit. Study evacuation routes, even consider temporarily moving away from the beach. However, and the reaction from some Japanese was chic. The whole world was dumbfounded. In the national character of the Japanese, some of them are calm and fatalistic. Their composure in the face of disaster often amazes foreigners. This rumor about the 2025 Doomsday earthquake on online forums for young people in Japan, it actually sparked some amazing discussions. Let's look at a few typical cases. I want to choose a place to watch the last sunrise. Some Japanese netizens have no plans to flee. Instead, start planning romantic doomsday vistas, someone said solemnly. If the tsunami is really coming, I want to choose a beautiful high ground in advance. See life there? The last magnificent sunrise. Someone else responded yes. Or go to the top of Mount Fuji. Watch the sea level rise. At least the scenery is invincible before death. This detachment from life and death. The idea of ritual makes you laugh and cry. Foreign netizens called it true or false after seeing it. This is too Buddhist. They are unimaginable. Facing a catastrophe, these Japanese are not screaming in panic. Escape. Instead, it's like arranging a leisurely outing. Since you are going to die happily too. Some Japanese netizens simply made fun of it. It's worth discussing how to spend your last day. For example, someone said, if you are doomed to be killed by a major earthquake, then I'd rather book the best spa hotel in advance. Soaking in hot springs, drinking sake, welcome to the last moment in comfort. Another one was joking. I'm going to rush to the anime cafe in Akiba Garden, holding my favorite manga and figurines. Be a happy house before you die. They're even discussing what snacks and drinks to bring. Feeling like party time. For them, instead of fear, it's better to face it in a dark, humorous way. Since it cannot be changed, it is better to meet fate freely. This is a mind-blowing survival plan. Shocked the country again. There are British and American netizens who leave messages. The Japanese are too calm. It's like a movie, don't look up. A satirical doomsday comedy movie. Play out the mistakes and evils of the bystander in reality. International media and netizens. Reactions to the Japanese. There's a lot of talk. Some people sigh. This is a dialogue that only appears in anime. I didn't expect the real thing to be more outrageous. Others said with admiration. The Japanese have really seen strong winds and waves, mentally powerful to explode. In fact, those who are familiar with Japanese culture know it's not so much that they're not afraid. It's more of a combination of fatalism and calmness. There is a word in Japanese called shogani. It means there is no way. Accept your fate and encounter something irresistible. This is what the Japanese often talk about. It probably means that what should come cannot be avoided. Better to accept him. In an environment that is often accompanied by earthquakes, the Japanese people have developed a high degree of psychological resilience, sex and self-deprecation. Spirit, of course. Not all Japanese people are so free-spirited. Many people also began to prepare seriously, such as stockpiling drinking water and food. Inspect your own earthquake-resistant structures. Participate in disaster prevention training. It's just that compared to those panicked preppers. Online, what goes viral is often those words that open the mind. After all, these are more topical and entertaining. Right? The interesting thing about fear is that art and games. The Japanese also share their apocalyptic anxiety. Translates into creation and entertainment. For example, cartoonists start to draw If Tokyo is Silent, the virtual storyline, illustrating Japan in the end of days. It is both a warning and a tease. Some game developers even made up a doomsday survival RPG. 2025 Japan, such an idea. Let the player simulate disaster recovery. Someone started a thread on Twitter. Let your imagination run wild. If it is determined that the world will end on July 5th, what is the one thing you most want to do? And you get a lot of different answers. Laughing with tears. I have to confess to my crush. You have to eat all the ramen you want. Others simply expressed, he's going to sleep in the dark. Through these self-deprecating discussions, the Japanese turned an otherwise heavy topic, turned into a collective roast. It relieved the tension. In general, Japanese reaction to disaster predictions. You can describe calmness in 8 words. Sand sculptures express their respective positions. On the one hand, I admire their calmness and dignity. On the other hand, the brain hole on the internet is inflamed and makes people laugh. This unique response tells us one thing. Scary rumors. Life still has to pass. Instead of worrying every day. Better to be humorous. Preparation for preparation. The life of life. When we laugh, you can't be vague when it's time to be serious. The Japanese government and many civil society organizations didn't really take the prophecy as a joke. They continue to promote disaster prevention, education, and facilities construction. Most buildings in Japan are designed to withstand earthquakes. The school holds earthquake drills every year. Emergency kit in people's homes. Occasional escape guides on the radio. That is to say, on the surface they were chatting and laughing, but I came prepared in private. This cultural contrast, it is the charm of Japanese society. You can take a crisis seriously. It can also be mixed to relieve pressure. See here. You might be thinking, then people from other countries, what to do in the face of similar predictions? Learn from the Japanese and look down on life and death. Or are you seriously preparing for the end? Maybe your mileage may vary. But one thing is for sure, panicking too much is no easy task. It's not necessarily wise to hold it. Attitude towards the Japanese, we can take it easy but not relax. Fighting fear with humor. At the same time, there is no hesitation in acting. It's always better to plan ahead than to regret it when it comes time. Let's talk here. We basically put 2025. It's a daring thing. The history of the cold and curious prophecy have discussed. Scenes from the dreams of legendary cartoonists. Leave a message to the mysterious future persons network, to scientists for threat and risk assessment, and the reactions of ordinary Japanese people. We seem to have gone through a journey together, an adventure between reality and the unknown. So let's finally think about a question. When terrible prophecies lie ahead, should we be afraid? Or should it be faced with some rational attitude? First of all, a prophecy is a prophecy after all, has not yet become a reality. How many doomsday predictions have been made in human history? Most turned out to be false alarms. Remember the 2012 Mayan calendar doomsday theory? Countless people around the world are uneasy. As a result, it passed safely on December 21, 2012. The sun also rises. Prophecies are just misinterpretations and jokes. There are also various comets that hit the Earth in previous years. Predictions of an alien invasion have barely materialized. We can't because of some prophet. I got a few things right in the past. Make sure they are always right. The future is always uncertain. Take the number of dragons. His precognitive dreams may be truly extraordinary, but there may also be a misunderstanding bias. Dreams are inherently ambiguous. His interpretation of dreams may not be entirely accurate. We certainly hope he's wrong this time. The so-called 2062 future people. More likely just a study and a coincidence. As for those precognitive dreams, the research itself has a subjective selection bias. So we don't have to go into blind panic. Every day is unfounded. It's over. 2025 will be destroyed. Instead, it affects normal life. That puts the cart before the horse. But on the other hand, we should not be completely. Ignoring these warning signs becomes as mentioned earlier. Even if the prophecy is not mentioned, Japan and the world respond to earthquakes. There is basic vigilance and preparation for natural disasters such as tsunamis. It's not so much prophecy that warns us. Rather, nature is already sounding the alarm in various ways. We see the glacier melting in the bathroom. The climate crisis. Frequent extreme weather in the bathroom. Signs of environmentally variable plate activity in the bathroom. Geological hazard risk sheet. The lone celestial phenomenon is actually the inheritance of ancient wisdom. Modern science is not a kind of prophecy. It's just that what he predicted was high probability events based on data. So, if prophecy happens to point in the same direction as science, maybe we should pay more attention. Take Fangjin as an example. Not only Japan, countries and regions located in earthquake zones should be a lesson. Do more drills. Building systems to strengthen personal preparedness of first aid kits. Develop family emergency contact information, etc. These are practical steps we can take on our own initiative. Even if nothing happens in 2025, these preparations will not be in vain, because the earthquake will come sooner or later. It's just a matter of time. Take a step back. The popularity of these doomsday prophecies. It also reflects people's inner unease about the future. When the global situation is volatile, a time of disaster poverty, prophecy is particularly prone to prevail. On the one hand, people are afraid of the unknown. On the one hand, there is a hunger for mysterious answers. Therefore, it is better to believe in some supernatural claims, to find meaning in a chaotic world. It's not so much that the prophecy really worked. It is better to say that the human heart needs a sustenance. Humorous. Sometimes believing in prophecy is also asking for peace of mind. If there really is a chosen person in advance, tell us the ending. Then at least we don't have to guess, right? Only as we can see. Different people give different endings. Some say doomsday, some say freshman. Who is more trustworthy? In the end, we'll just have to wait and see. Take time to verify. For us ordinary people, the smartest thing to do, maybe keep an open but cautious attitude. You can approach these prophecies with a little curiosity. After all, they can be quite entertaining and inspiring at times. But also make your own judgment. Don't be led by the nose by sensational remarks. Like today's sharing, we have spoken of the content of the prophecy. Scientific analysis and rational thinking are also added. He made fun of people's reactions. I just want to present a multi-angle perspective. What to believe in the end. What to do. The answer is already out there. Believe the truth. Trust common sense. Make the best preparation. Hope for the best. What will happen in 2025? No one can tell now. Maybe one morning we turn on the news. You will see a major earthquake in Japan. Lost headlines. It's a pity that maybe 2025 passed peacefully. Looking back, these prophecies were just a joke. The wheels of history are rolling forward. We don't have much time to find out. No matter the outcome, I believe that with human ingenuity and courage, we'll eventually get through this difficult time. Just like the Japanese netizens, we might as well bring a little humor and optimism. Embracing the unknown future, and don't forget to pray silently in your heart. I hope disaster always exists only in prophecies and movies. Hopefully in the summer of 2025, Japan's cherry blossoms are still blooming as usual. The waves of the Pacific Ocean still gently beat the shore. And I can watch all the new releases this year safely. Animation and film masterpieces. I'm kidding. It means that it's business as usual in everyday life. Finally, with a teasing metaphor, if something really big happens in 2025, then we will review the order again today. These prophecies discussed, let's see which god is right. If nothing happens, then everyone is happy. We'll gossip about another prophecy next time. Anyway, stay curious, stay rational, also maintain an optimistic heart. This may be the best prophecy for the future. Thank you for your patience. We look forward to a safe and exciting 2025.